The person who collapsed was very, very different from the person who returned 3 hours later. I did not have any spiritual information whatsoever. That man did not care anything about spirituality. My joke was, if God existed, why are you worried about it now? You'll just meet it someday. And to wake up in the place to understand, not only is there something divine that's around us all the time, but we are an expression of it in a way. So I came back completely different. That was the day that, literally that day, I walked away from all things. I walked away from career. I walked away from seeking anything material. I walked away from the type A personality.
So nice to have you, Jonathan Ashford, here. And thank you for being willing to have a conversation about your near-death experience. And we already pre-agreed that you're going to just do a brief synopsis because it's important for people to know, and have a sense. And I will link in the description for people to be able to see an interview that I really loved, where there's more of a overlay of this wonderful kind of impactful experience. So I felt drawn to ask you to join me in a conversation because I just felt your sincere heart. And so I'm just tickled to have you here and to see where we go. My channel is about awakening because that's been a passion of mine, not only awakening, but integration into life, how awakening gets embodied into humanity and gets lived. That's one half of the pie. The other half that you get to eat is the one where you live it.
Yeah.
But if there's some piece, Jonathan, that stands out for you that you feel you might like to tease out in terms of the experience.
Yeah, I think the part about the experience I think is the most important is that I was not a spiritual person at all, not even in the smallest way.
Yeah.
I was anti-spiritual, 46-year-old executive who didn't care much for people, just sought materialist things, single guy, had the means to do whatever I wanted, and thought that was what life was about. Just to seek more. It was always more. What is there? There must be more.
More experience.
More experiences, more acquisition, more money. It was like, well, I have money now, so what opportunities does that give me? Oh, I can buy more expensive champagne, or I can take trips to places I couldn't before and stay in places I couldn't before. I can buy toys. If I want to spend $15,000 on a motorcycle, I can, right? I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And with that, just came this seeking of excess. Everything had to be at the highest level. It had to be more of everything to the point where it was obscene. That person was just trying to fill a hole within himself. Really didn't understand it until having the near-death experience. That hole was the absence of love. Didn't feel much love in his life. Didn't have love for himself. Actually, I would say that individual tend to hate himself more than anything else. So every pursuit of something was just a dopamine fix, the temporary fix for the absence of something greater. I ended up collapsing in a grocery store at 46. Turns out over a period of 2 weeks and emergency room visits, sitting with doctors, they had missed that I had a gallstone stuck in a duct, which caused sepsis and then eventually led to organ failure. I collapsed in my home and ended up having the full experience. The person who collapsed was very, very different from the person who returned 3 hours later. I did not have any spiritual information whatsoever. That man did not care anything about spirituality. My joke was, if God existed, why are you worried about it now? You'll just meet it someday. And to wake up in the place to understand, not only is there something divine that's around us all the time, but we are an expression of it in a way. And to have just knowledge that was not there before about what we are, how we walk through existence, what love is. Everything is technically an expression of love. And just information that that person could not have held 3 hours earlier. So I came back completely different. That was the day that literally that day I walked away from all things. I walked away from the career. I walked away from seeking anything material. I walked away from the type A personality. Just everything had changed. And then over, I'd say about 18 months, it was just the dissolution of it all. It was the selling off of everything, the selling of the home, the boats, the toys, the release of the friendships. The lifestyle had completely changed. I was recovering medically. I still am 3 years later. It was a way of embodying what had been given to me in a way that I just couldn't embody in the previous life. I became homeless. I slept in a vehicle for 7.5 months. I technically still am homeless. I have a van now. I just giving up everything, working for free, using all the savings up, just operating from this place of divine trust to walk through life knowing, okay, I met this divinity. I experienced it. I received messages from it. I'm directly connected with it. And all I have to do is trust that, and life will work itself out. I've lived that way for 3 years, which is in direct opposition to the way the previous guy in here had lived, which was make everything happen. It's up to you. You create your reality, do it, make it happen, get it. If you don't get it, it's your fault. And I sit in this place of surrender. And I don't ask for money. I don't work on any transactions whatsoever. I don't have a large amount of money saved. I literally have enough for groceries and pay some bills, and it's perfect. I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm not interested in building a cult following or anything of that nature, or selling classes or charging people for the information I received. To me, I received a feeling of unconditional love and all the information related to it. For me to put a price tag on that seems obscene for me. Like I can't keep that from you. I want everybody to feel it. I want to give it away. I want the whole world to feel it. So I live very differently now. I just serve humanity. I've spoken to people in over 50 countries. I give, my waiting list is 2.5 years for one-on-ones. I give free Zoom calls every week to a few hundred people who decide to show up. And I just try to share the feeling of what I felt there through the information I was given. So that's my life in a nutshell to date.
Oh, you did a great job putting it in a small little morsel. There's so much I know there. It's what's guiding your whole life. I'm curious, you mentioned that person a few times in the third person. How are you with that person now?
Yeah, what's interesting is on paper, if you had written the description of that person from let's call it a traditional religious belief system standpoint, you would say that individual was a horrible individual and that individual should be judged in a way. And on the other side, you recognize there's no such thing. There's no judgment. It's an unconditional love like you've never felt. And what I recognized in the return was that person didn't need judgment, right? That person didn't need to get hit with a stick to wake up. I mean, maybe you can call death that. But really what that person needed was love. That person needed to experience love and hadn't in childhood, hadn't in relationships, hadn't through itself. There was no self-love. So it's interesting to look back on living some of the memories of living that life and knowing that the behavior was the reflection of the absence of love. And it serves a purpose. It serves me well now because many of the people I speak with are in that place. They've never received love. They've never recognized it, and their struggles reflect it.
So my own experience with the awakening journey that I've been on for decades is that when something's been realized and some kind of opening has taken place, because there have been many, including just sort of a disappearance of self, but always there's a process of integration where there's an integration back into what is still living here. And that, especially when awakening and opening of the heart took place, okay, so it was like unity consciousness presented itself. And there was a seeing our interconnection on such a experiential level, not just an understanding, but on an intimate experiential level, and not the self that I took myself to be, right? But just the real self. Even that, after a period of time, that love that I had opened up to, it came back to want to nurture and help bring healing to the parts inside that didn't know that were still not quite on board. A lot dropped away, a lot fell away out of grace. But then there were some remaining parts that just needed to take time because they were created in time. So it's like it needed time for this love to filter in and help liberate it with the understanding that this too is it. This too is the love. This too is welcomed here just as you are.
Yeah.
And that was an ongoing multi-year journey of, I would say, inner reconciliation. And it was beautiful. Honestly, it was so beautiful. The journey of the humanity part coming into right relationship with this love. So I'm just curious with you, Jonathan, following this profound opening and experience, I can feel the sincerity of it, the vibration of it. I think you carry that transmission. That's part of why people are just probably fascinated with listening to the same type of interviews over and over.
Yeah, right.
It's because of the transmission that is taking place. I'm very sensitive to that kind of thing. And I'm wondering, how is the return phase back into the body? The body contains memory, and the body contains trauma. So the body contains stuff. And I know a lot gets graced, but I wonder if there are some parts this love is working its way through that person that you used to be.
I was fortunate, and I try to explain this in some of my Zoom calls, that I didn't have to go through the awakening process. For me, it was literally death. 3 hours later, here I am, and I have it. The awakening process for me would have been exactly that, right? I come back, I'm still an executive. I'm still having to walk through and let that love saturate myself.
Yeah.
Argue internally with, should I continue to, seek the money or not, or should I keep the boat or not? Death cut the cord for me. And I just came back in a state knowing, okay, there's nothing to do but to move that way. So it's never been something I had to wrestle with or integrate. The things that I did have to integrate were outside of that. You could say psychic ability, psychic messages, visions, all these things that were foreign to me. But the love itself, I literally woke up in the body with that unconditional love that hasn't wavered from that moment. There was no like, oh, I remember when I did this back then, and now I feel love. So let me try and integrate through the memory of this and resolve it in a way or work through it. Even trauma that I had experienced in my childhood that I carried as a chip on my shoulder was instantly gone. It was all gone. So it was like the greatest gift. I say my near death experience was a gift, but I also don't wish it on anybody because it was such a change that if you didn't get the full experience, you would say you lost so much that you wouldn't know where to step next. I was fortunate enough to be shown where to step next. Like, this is the direction you go.
Yeah.
And given the messages, given the directions. But there wasn't a part of me that felt lost. There wasn't a part of me that felt I needed to remove trauma. Oh, now I understand the trauma, so now I can move past it. It was all gone. It was just all completely erased, which was a gift, which allowed me to bypass the spiritual awakening process that so many people I speak with are struggling through.
Sure.
How do I be half human and half divine at the same time? Right? And
Well,
it's those two opposing forces.
yeah, well, in the end, I think that we're meant to be humanly divine.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
you can't ignore the human half.
No, no.
But
So
I didn't have to
hear you.
develop it in that place.
You didn't have to develop it.
No, I didn't.
No,
It
no.
just came. I came back with it.
I believe you that you say that you feel fortunate that that took place, and I could imagine that with that amount of pain body that you carried, that that would certainly be the case. In my experience, what I see is that it's not necessarily unfortunate to not have that kind of from A to Z.
Mm-hmm.
I've had some significant awakening experiences that went A to Z.
Mm.
And then it came back and it went through some of the paces, not every single A, B, C, but it,
Right.
A to E to, like a piano, that you don't know how to play.
Right.
Um, it's given me, first of all, a great love for the human experience
Mm.
and compassion, a
Yeah.
great amount of compassion and understanding of what it's like to be lost, what
Yeah.
it's like to be in pain. And I know you have that as well. And then, like you say in some of your interviews, you say nothing is by accident. And that's a tough one, as we both know, to digest sometimes.
Yeah.
But nothing is by accident. It's all for our growth. And I would say that what took place for you, and there are some others on the planet throughout time that that's happened to, is not by accident. And
Right.
part of it is the divine itself wanting that experience, wanting the experience of having this filter into the human journey so that from the inside out, it can really know itself as that. But it's tough. It can be very tough, right?
Mm-hmm.
Depending on the karmic load that one has. Mine was medium, but it can be tough. But you know what? That too, I wouldn't give away. The liberation that takes place within feeling bound is it's so joyous and something that hopefully is serving.
Mm-hmm.
And I think yours does too. It's just a different type of opening. And that's one of the things that I was looking forward to having you on is like, okay, let's see how we can intersect this NDE experience, right? Which is really a profound awakening, a spiritual awakening experience, not just an experience.
Right.
That word doesn't even fit it. It's an understanding, it's a living, it's a revelation, whatever. And the spiritual awakening journey that so many people are on in their way, whatever kind of traditions. I tend to be out of the box with no tradition. Whatever kind of, tradition one can be in, that journey, which is seemingly set more in time,
Yes.
lifetimes.
Yeah.
And the intersection of it, because here we are, you and I, you've had this, A to Z. I've been doing da 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 da. Now, and we're not the only ones, right? So what kind of places do we intersect now through the understanding of what basically are universal truths, right? Universal truths. And one of them I want to speak about is unconditional love.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's talk about.
Yeah, I could tell you what I was shown,
Yeah.
and what I understand. I guess you would say what I understand to be true, or truth as it was defined for me, is that we are an expression of unconditional love here to remember that very thing. So you could say time, uh, through the process of the spiritual awakening, simply exists for you to experience the memory or the event or the set of circumstances that remind you that you are an expression of unconditional love. So it has a very interesting sense of humor. The sense of humor is you are unconditional love manifest into this form, and now you're going to forget and go through everything, which is just trying to wake you up to that fact. But you're going to see it with different eyes. So it's kind of like the joke is it's always been right in front of you. It's always been right in front of your face, but you've always been looking 100 yards out. You know, you're always looking to tomorrow, or you're looking, I need the 12 years of schooling to get me there. I need something,
Right.
when it's actually been in the mirror the whole time.
Yeah.
So every circumstance serves you in your awakening to that very fact. And we live several lifetimes because we miss it.
Yeah.
Right. We might live 1,000 lifetimes because we just keep missing it, or it's just floating right by us instead of catching that glimpse in the mirror, understanding that unconditional love is what we are. And the second we wake up to it, it's like feeling it for the first time every time. So as it was shown to me, there was nothing to do here. There was nothing to ever change here. There was nothing to ever fix. There was only to live consciously in a way to understand I am unconditional love being expressed in this moment. How does that play out? If I remember it, it plays out, my life plays out to reflect that. If I don't remember it, then my life plays out to reflect that. So really it was the two paths, if you want to call them paths, playing out simultaneously based on your state. So as it was shown to me, everyone's like, well, what's my life path? What's my purpose? I'm like, well, just think of it this way. You have choice A or B all day, every day. And based on choice A or B, you will affect the state in which you affect your existence. Beyond that, everything else was just shown to either point you to it or pull you away from it. So all spiritual belief systems, every book, every definition, every word that we use, every language, everything either points us to it or away from it. But you will only know that if you're walking in a state of awareness, which is part of the spiritual awakening process. You grow your awareness. I'm now more aware than I was yesterday. Yeah. And because of my awareness, I choose this particular state. And I might do it a couple times today and maybe a couple more times tomorrow. Or I might slip out of it. I might forget it completely. And then those circumstances will reflect that and try to point me back to remembering it again. So it's really an exercise in awareness. Unconditional love is, yes, we are unconditional love. We walk in it, we hold it, we forget it. But the exercise is the awareness, because without the awareness, you won't remember that you are unconditional love.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's kind of like a grace can shake us out of our slumber of being out of awareness. Like boom, your heart is impacted. And you can't shut it out. You can't close it down anymore. I'm just curious, you said something about past lives. You went from A to Z in this life, but is it possible that you've been working on this in other times, other places, other dimensions?
Yes. I was shown what we would refer to as past lives, but I also know there's no such thing. They're all happening simultaneously.
Yeah.
But many of those existences were in line with what I'm doing now.
Uh-huh.
So it's interesting. There was something else that was interesting. My astrological chart which I'm not a I'm not a big astrological guy,
Yeah.
but the chart reflected that it was always planned. The NDE was planned. How long I was gone was planned. It was all there.
Yeah. How about being a schmuck? Was that planned?
Yeah, I think it was. It must have been in order.
Yeah.
Or I had the free will to be a schmuck until the point where it had to happen. But what's interesting is being that guy up front was a requirement because I couldn't serve the way I'm serving now without having experienced that
Uh-huh.
version of
Okay,
that
okay,
person.
okay. Yeah, okay. So you went from A to Z, but you had a lot of time that you can relate to the human
I had
condition.
a lot of freedom. Yes, a lot
Yeah,
of freedom that I enjoyed.
pain and not
Sure.
understanding what love is and being confused, right? And I
Yeah.
mean, that's all Earth school.
Yes.
It's not by accident either, and it's Earth schools. I understand that well.
Funny thing is to see some of the what you would call past lives and what you would relate as piety to them, and then have this existence where the first half of it was just debaucherous in a way,
Yeah.
and say, well, where did the piety go? Right? Where did the piety go that was carried from all these other existences? And that's the judgment piece that we hold against ourselves. Where I know that the piety, if I had carried it into the first half of this existence,
Yeah.
it wouldn't have created enough contrast for me to be able to talk to all the people that I talk to now.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I get it. Contrast. Well, it's like you know what it's like.
Correct. It's like I have all the way from 0 to 100. So if I had started at 50 to 100, I would only have a small view or a small angle to help people who have shown up basically living a very similar life to the way I lived previous to my death. So it was a gift in a way, right? We would say, well, you were that guy. Like nobody liked that guy. You didn't even like that guy. And
Yeah.
I will say, yeah, but that lifestyle served a purpose to prepare me for what I'm doing now.
Yeah, I hear you.
So,
No,
yeah,
and there's no wrong in it, like you said. It's information to help others in the end.
yeah.
Yeah. So right now with your heart, is that something that you feel on a regular basis? You just put your attention on your heart.
Mm-hmm.
It's an intelligence center.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of hums and it brings a lot of peace and equanimity and joy to the moment. Is
Mm.
that kind of something that you feel like you are in tune
In
with?
in a way, for me, the heart is the GPS. So I don't live from the intellect. I simply live from the heart. I let it guide every decision. I let it guide all communication.
Yeah.
I sit in that space of unconditional love. I think if I had more of a self, I would sit in a place of negotiation, right? Like I negotiate what feels better today versus what feels worse. What I think the plan should be versus what actually unfolds. So I'm lucky enough that I get to feel through existence. I feel through the heart. I feel through that unconditional love. So I get to experience life in that way without the intellect going, hey, is this the right, should I turn right here or turn left? Like, what do I want to do? There's no wanting in that way for me. It's just, if I'm supposed to turn right or left, I'll be told. And if I'm not told, I don't turn. For me, the heart is always going to be the answer, the source
Oh,
of the
okay.
answer.
So that's your
Yeah.
guidance system.
Yes.
Yeah, the intellect. So the mind is quiet.
Yes, very much so. My significant other laughs. She's like, how do you get so deep in meditation so quick? Like I can just be there, shut my eyes and be there. It's because this thing is off.
Yeah.
This thing is no longer talking. It's no longer in the way. Which is nice. It's freeing. It's a stress relief system in a way. It's like it's empty. Yeah.
But I wanted to come back to something you said, just you have a significant other. So you're in
Mm,
relationship?
I am
Okay.
recently.
Recently. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm just curious, what's that like for you now?
It's interesting. It's like becoming a little bit more human to meet on common ground,
Um,
but it's also divine. It was definitely divinely orchestrated in a way. There are just too many divine movements that put the two of us together, and that continues to walk through our lives together. It's interesting because I had an experience where I was told that I would be in a relationship. So after the experience, it happened very quickly. And it kind of moved everything out of the way that could possibly be in the way to that. So I say it's a relationship, and people say, "Oh, you have a significant other." I'm like, "Yeah, but it's a little bit more divine than that because it couldn't have happened any other way." I was not in a place to seek anything from anybody or even have the desire to be in a relationship. So everything kind of happened the way it should have. And we just happened to intersect in that way. And she recognizes it and I recognize it. And we're like, okay, we had a good matchmaker, right? It's a
Oh,
divine
I
relationship,
bet.
and we're just walking through it. So we're experiencing that very thing. How do you remain human enough to have a relationship and divine enough to know that the relationship serves a bigger purpose?
I'm curious, like what it's like for her to be in a
She's
relationship with you.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely challenging. Well, for both of us at times. I mean, I'm not that human, right? Small talk isn't there. Being a social butterfly to go out with a bunch of couples, that part is no longer there. So there was an adjustment,
Yeah.
but she's also very divine in her own right. So she's very intuitive in her own right. So she's lived a life where she's been connected for a long time. And now it's how do we integrate the two? How do we integrate my connection with it and your connection with it so that it's a triangle in a way, right?
Yeah.
So there's a third. I always, like I said it this morning, we were talking, it's not just you and I, there's a third party in our relationship. It's just invisible,
Oh,
right? It's not one that's going, "Hey, do you guys recognize me?" It's always there. It's always moving the pieces on the game board that's affecting the two of us to try and get us to notice it, remember it. So the challenge is to be almost less human in a way,
mm.
so we can experience a more divine relationship with it rather than the human part, which is, oh, let's say grace before we eat, right? Like there's this shift into, wait a second, everything is divine.
Yeah.
Everything that we're doing is divine. Every handhold is divine. Every hug is divine. Are we recognizing it, or are we just being human and we're forgetting it? We're kind of like back to square one, which is, hey, we're awakened. Do we remember we are awakened? So yeah, some days it's a challenge, of course, because you still have that human part of you, right? Humanly divine, as you stated. But for the most part, our conversations in our life tends to be lived pretty divinely.
Yeah. For me, the humanly divine is is when identity has been seen through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so then it's more like what's possible. I think we're meant to live what's possible here.
Yeah.
That's within this body and this thing we call human. It's not the lost one. It's not the one that's necessarily confused or any of that. It's what when one has seen through identity, the persona, even the spiritual persona, when that's been
Yeah.
seen through and there's just truth living and what we really are as much as possible coming through the stained glass of
Yeah.
the human experience. I always think of like, well, trees, they're divine and they're treeing. And
Mm,
my dog Nala is doing her thing. And
yeah.
everything in creation, it's doing its thing. The rock is doing its thing. And then with humans, I think we're also meant to be humaning in some way that is not confused.
It was shown to me as attachment on the other side. The things, part of the divine joke of this existence is creation creates enough around you to distract you from the very thing of which you are. So you can say, I want pizza, I want money, I want all these wonderful creations, which I will attach myself to, and then completely forget the potential of what I am, as you mentioned before, the potential the full human potential to recognize its divinity. So it's here's all the fun stuff, here's all the candy, here's all the cookies, here are all the wonderful experiences you can have. Can you have them consciously through the divine lens within you to experience gratitude and all the wonderful things that come from experience? Or do you experience them from the animalistic side, the human side, which says, that was great, I want another. I just want more. So the challenge is the attachment. When you recognize I can release the attachment to everything here, which allows me to see through that identity, which was attached to it, then I sit in the space to recognize and feel the fullness of the experience rather than the small aspect of which the human lens can see. So it's like, yes, we're attached to our things, but we experience them more fully when we detach from the things. Because it's almost the contrast of, well, I'm not attached, so I don't know if I'm ever going to get it again. So if I have it right now, it's amazing because I don't know if I'm going to receive it again. Rather than the attachment, which is every Friday I get this, right? Every Friday I'm going to get this thing, and it becomes habitual, which reinforces identity. I'm the thing that gets every Friday.
Yeah. And even the sense of me gets reinforced from when we're very little. That virus gets passed on from the collective.
Yes.
There's something that I'm going to read that you said in the interview with Rick Archer and Buddha at the Gas Pump. The sunlight grew and swallowed everything, golden, yellowish, and white. And in it, you feel everything. You feel it all. Every blade of grass, every bird, every molecule that is here. And when you feel it, you realize that everything, all of it, is just for you, for your experience. It's all made out of love for your experience. So one of the things that I've realized in my own awakening journey, which I think is sort of like this ongoing thread of verb, there's always sort of an awakening to, because life is so full. There's so much to awaken to. And the divine is eternal. So what I sense from what you say here, and tell me if this is sort of similar, is that you woke up there and were given that every blade of grass, everything, every molecule is alive and it's divine. And you realize that. You realize that intimately. When you say molecule, to me, that means it's a sensory thing. It's a felt thing. It's not just an abstract understanding. And you realize you are it and it is you, right? And so with this humanly divine coming back around to that is having experienced and knowing that you are it, having been given that and woken up to it, is so profound. It's so immense.
It is.
It's so immense.
It is, but it doesn't have to be that big because you are both it in an expression of it, but you will never be all of it.
No.
So there's a piece there that you recognize. I imagine the closest thing I could come to is you are a child in your mother's womb and you get to feel everything your mother feels. Right? If she feels pain, you feel pain. If she feels hunger, you feel hunger. You get to feel all of it, but you are not your mother's hands. Right? Your mother can still move her hands where she wants to move them. She can still walk where she wants to walk. So it's like you are it, but at the same time, it has its own personality. It can do what it wants. The interesting thing is recognizing when we believe all things here are it, and we are integrated with all things here, which makes all of us it, we are correct. But it is much, 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 much bigger than just this. In other words, there are other existences, other places, other even just color that I experience there that we don't have here. There's so much more than what we are here. However, because we are an expression of it or a part of it or integrated with it, we're so much greater than we ever give ourselves credit for. Right? Well, I'm just a lowly human who's just having this little experience. I'm like, no, you're divine. Like you are literally divine. And someday you will remember it and experience it again. And then you'll forget it and come back. But in the moment where you recognize that fact, you will carry something back with you that will help you in the next existence. It might be one grain of sand, but it is something that you carry with you. So there's that spark that's within every one of us that we have felt divine, we've experienced divine, we are divine. And we're like, where's that spark? Okay, what do I have to do in this life to recognize it fully again? So it's always there, but we're not combined. Even if you combined every one of us, got us all on a train, and everybody on that train was loving and everything was unconditional love, we still wouldn't be the whole of it because it is even greater than us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see your point. And that's my experience when I say awakening is an ongoing journey. And I also feel like I'm a child.
Yeah.
And like I'm set back to zero again. There's so much that has been understood and seen, and it's still minuscule, set back to zero. And I love that. There's something so, I don't know, alive about that.
Yeah, it's interesting here on the other side, especially in my life review, you come to the understanding that on the other side, you're the adult and here you're just the child. So you're here experiencing this existence, making a mess of things through the experience. You're just trying, you're figuring it out, you're feeling its context. It's like, this is a finger paint. This is construction paper, right? We're just children feeling. Then you get to the other side and you recognize why you felt, why you had the circumstance, why you needed to feel construction paper and finger paint and everything else. Yeah, so there's this sharp contrast that I recognized in the life review, understanding, wait a second, the reason we're not judged here is because we're just children feeling our way. We're just feeling through things. Sometimes we eat the crayons, sometimes we don't, we're just feeling our way through this existence. And there's really nothing to judge. It's on the other side, you recognize, okay, I colored outside of the lines on every, project. Maybe I'll try to color in the lines in this next try. But it's not something that you're like, okay, you're really screwed up, you need to go do it again. There isn't that push, right? It's more out of love. It's more like, oh, wasn't that a great experience? You helped a bunch of people through your experience. Go help some more.
So it's kind. It's very kind. But isn't there some, I wouldn't say graduation, but isn't there like growth? I mean, we're growing.
No, as it was shown to me, it's not about growing. I know we use that word, and I've even used it like, oh, we're here to learn and grow. But honestly, truthfully, the truth shown to me on the other side was you can learn to remember. You can grow enough so that you do remember. But ultimately, it's about remembering. So what do you need to experience here that knocks off the rust, that knocks off the amnesia so that you can remember that you are divine, that you are an expression of love? Then you're free. I call it becoming formless within form. So we'll use unconditional love. You can't point at unconditional love. You can't hold it. You can't measure it. You can't put it in a box. It's invisible. You can't make more unconditional love. You can't dwindle or make unconditional love something less. And when you recognize that unconditional love cannot be defined, it can only be felt, you will understand that it is formless. It holds no particular form. Expressions of love hold form. I have unconditional love for you, so I bought you flowers today, right? That's an expression you can point at. But I need the feeling, that invisible feeling of unconditional love before I create or commit to the action. So when you recognize you're finally in the space of something that can't be defined, can't be measured, you are formless because you recognize it holds no particular form. And I call that being formless within the human form.
Could that be the divinely human or no?
Yeah, in a way, you recognize that this is just a rental car. This experience is something I leave at the airport. I don't take it with me. It's not something that defines me. It's something that from unconditional love, I experience.
Mm.
So the formlessness is, like we spoke about earlier, moving past identity, because identity is something you point at. Identity is something you hear. You say my name and I turn. I think that I am that. But I'm actually the unconditional love that is beyond that.
Mm.
And that would be becoming formless within this form.
Yeah.
And once you reach that state, you're free to choose to return, choose to reintegrate, choose another existence. It's infinite. But this was about remembering
Yeah.
what you are to be free of it.
I love that. We're all using different language here. We're trying to
Yeah.
find our way with understanding. And I really love the Buddhist emptiness and form are one.
Mm.
What you're saying about the formless really reminds me of this, of the emptiness. And
Yeah.
that when one has woken to the emptiness at a very profound level, then one realizes what form really is, you know, that it's divine. It is made of the same stuff, but it's just in form. It's the emptiness that is form. And so then, you know, one lives this life.
Yeah. To me, this is an exercise in death. It's going to sound morbid, but as somebody who experienced death, I would say death is amazing. There's nothing morbid about it.
Mm.
But truly, when you wake up to what the exercise is, you've been dying since the first breath you took here. In other words, you took your first breath as a newborn baby and you had one less before you were supposed to go. So the exercise is, maybe you have 100 years, maybe you have 70, maybe you have 30, maybe you leave early and you're in your 20s or teens.
Yeah.
But the whole exercise is, can you move to a conscious level of awareness more often than not that says, I recognize this experience here is trying to wake me up to what I am.
Yeah.
And if I recognize that, I become the love in which I remember that I am for somebody else to see. So my death, my 100-year death, if I wake up, serves all others who get to witness it or experience life through me, versus I forget what I am, I don't pay attention, I live in desire, I deny what I am, I deny my own divinity. And my actions will reflect that and serve at the same time, still serve others who are in the awakening process as contrast to themselves. So it still serves as a street sign that says, don't turn left there, keep going straight.
Okay, nice. And in the meantime, you get to enjoy this life, or this
Exactly.
enjoying this life.
Yeah,
I think
I say, drink the wine, eat the cheese, have the cake, do all the things.
Have the speedboat? No.
Yeah, do it all. Go ahead, do it all. For me, it's like I have this recognition: if it's in your life, it's probably in your life for a reason, right? Nothing is random. But can you live life from that conscious awareness and recognize maybe it's in your life just so you grow gratitude, right? Just so you sit in a place to recognize divine connection, just so you sit in the place to go, well, it wasn't me who made that happen. It was something bigger than me. And I'm just trying to sit in the awareness to know that, wait a second, it's not my boat. It won't ever be my boat.
No.
It's just a boat, and I'm experiencing life through having a boat. So it's looking at life through a different lens, rather, again, back to identity, rather than looking at it through the identity lens. It's looking at it through the formless lens, which is all these forms and experiences I get to have in life. As long as I remain formless, I retain that memory of my divinity. But the second I start to move into solid form, I become the thing that wants to control it, direct it, change it, move it, experience it differently, which would be more tactile or more human in a way.
I just wanted to ask you, when you had your NDE and there was a return, is there still a taste, a sense of Jonathan as you knew yourself then?
No. That cord was cut. And I think that's a big reason. I received a message on the other side, which is very clear. One of the last pieces of information before returning was take nothing for yourself, only receive what you were given. So it's kind of like I returned without a self. I don't do anything for a self, right? It's why I don't charge money. I don't seek money. I don't seek fame or literally anything. There's nothing to seek for me because there isn't a me that I'm seeking for. Of course, there's still some version of me, right? Because I still eat, right? So there's a part of me that says, well, you need to eat to survive. You need to keep going.
Yeah.
But I don't seek anything. So there's no self that I do things for other than survival.
So like if you turn and look, I can't do it anymore either. Like to look at myself, I can't really do it. But are you able to turn and look and see yourself there?
No, what was in here did not return.
I hear that. Well, this is fascinating. I think a few people have mentioned that they think you're a walk-in.
Yeah.
I'm not getting that sense. Why? Not that I'm an authority, in any way. But the reason I'm not getting that sense is because it sounds more to me like previous work that you've done elsewhere came to fruition.
Yeah.
Versus being a walk-in.
Yeah, I like to make the joke I'm a walk-out. Something didn't walk in, something walked out, and just didn't come back. So yeah, it's a bit of that. It's a bit of, you could say, previous existences in a way, or simultaneous existences.
Very interesting. I also heard in one of your interviews that you go through these cycles of having a health crisis.
Yeah.
A crash.
Yeah.
I think you say. So what took place on the physical level still has reverberations, it sounds like.
Absolutely. Yeah. I may be 85% healed in a way. And every 6 months, I have some health nightmare that crops up that just has to do with the damage that I experienced, which is what caused the near-death experience or the resulting damage from the return. Yeah. But I also know that serves a purpose, though, right? It serves to keep me in a state where this is my focus, right? My focus is serving others. It's not going for a jog today, right? It's not, planning a ski vacation, right? Like those things are no longer part of this life or this body's life. And it's more something that just reminds me of what I'm here to do, right? It's just something that is always there that just gives, it's like the splinter. And it reminds you, okay, you got to take that out. You're going to get another one in 6 months. And it's just something you go through. But I don't wish it away. I don't wish for healing, or I wouldn't change anything. I'm incredibly blessed having nothing, right? Like I have nothing and I feel so much more blessed than when I had everything. So I don't wish to change anything or experience anything differently than the way I am.
Yeah. So a very humbling process having a body.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
And going through physical things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you won't be able to reconstruct in any kind of way.
No. I received a message about a year ago that says you will be healed. I had a psychic message and I was like, okay, that's interesting. I'm like, what does that mean 50 years from now? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And I don't ask. I just sit in the space, go, okay, if I'm supposed to be healed, if I'm supposed to be healed, that'll happen, right? Yeah. So what do I need to worry about?
Exactly. You will walk again.
Yeah, exactly.
Rise. Yeah. Yeah. One more piece I wanted just to touch on if you have another moment.
Yeah.
Okay. And that is a lot of the spiritual masters and beings that I've admired throughout time are not only profoundly realized and awakened, but they also exhibit so much compassion and care for humanity and the human experience. And not only that, but seem to, in a way, just viscerally feel the pain that others are feeling. It's not
Mhm.
just a removed compassion, but like an authentic heartbreak sorrow for the pain of the world. Life is whole and complete and made of love, and there's suffering and there's pain, and people are going through what they're going through on the planet, and creatures too, and creatures
Mhm.
too. And I'm wondering, how do you hold this?
It's difficult. It's very heavy. Um, yeah, I feel sadness quite a bit.
Yeah.
Um, it's hard because I know I'm here to share something that helps alleviate suffering in some people. And there's this feeling inside like, well, if only everybody can feel it, right? If only everybody can just get a glimpse of something that might help them, maybe it changes their lives in a way. And then, you'll see comments or hear people talk about things and like they don't even get the beginning of like nothing, not no part of it. They want no part of it. And that makes me sad because I know that they're suffering already and will continue to suffer through. I'm not saying you have to listen to me. Pick somebody to listen to, pick something to listen to. But I feel a lot of sadness when people don't want to recognize their divine spark, right? They don't want to recognize the fact that love actually flows through them because maybe they haven't ever felt it. I lived that life. I didn't feel it, so I didn't recognize it. So I know what that feels like. I know what that emptiness feels like. And it does hit me pretty hard because it's a lot of people, it's a lot of society, it's a lot of modern time where we are, you could say a lot of people are turning away from the divine spark. There are a lot of people turning towards it, but that is sad to me, right? That is sad. And it's something sometimes I wish everybody could have the near death experience because then they would wake up to it. But I also know it's not for everybody. And it's the contrast which serves those who choose to awaken. So those who choose to awaken can do so because they see in others those who aren't awakening. So it is a sadness in a way. And you just carry it. You just keep going. Like people ask me, how do you keep doing what you're doing and not get bored of it? Or how do you listen to the things people say about you and just keep wanting to do it? And I said, you just take another step. You just know that your existence serves. It's not going to serve everybody, right? Not in the way that you think. You just keep going and you have gratitude for it. You have gratitude for another breath, another day, another sunrise, another meal. And you move past the sadness through gratitude, through the experience of the unconditional love in which you are.
Yeah, it's hard to see suffering.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
human beings contribute to a lot of suffering on the planet. And we're not seeing the divine nature of Mother Earth. We've lost touch that this is alive. I would say it's even a being, and it's our mother. I mean, we come from her, our bodies come from her in return. Our
Yeah.
spirits are spirit, but our bodies is home while we're here. And the way
Yeah.
we treat home is just, it breaks my
Yeah.
heart. Um, yeah. I know that you love nature as well. I heard that in a few of your conversations.
Yeah. I know nature to be one of the purest expressions of divinity we have access to,
Yeah.
right? And it's kind of like if you aren't spending time in your local park staring at a tree, please start doing so because it is literally like plugging your cell phone into a wall. It's your purest connection in a sense, and we walk by it every day and just forget about it or choose not to see it, but it is divine.
Yeah, it's so good. I spend probably about 3 hours a day outside, and I do a lot of
Mm,
barefoot walking and
yeah,
grounding and yoga outside, and just I just get so nourished. And the
yeah,
nervous system gets at times overwhelmed from the collective unease that exists on the planet, and it just calms everything down.
Yeah.
Do you live in a beautiful area where you are?
Yeah, right now, well, I'm nomadic. But right now I'm in northern Idaho, which is a little bit smoky. We have a lot of fires up here right now, but
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of nature right around us. So I tend to pick the places I travel to based on nature. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, good. Well, is there anything that you feel like you would like to share? Is there anything else that you feel it might be nice to say?
I think uh, for me, it's just sharing a reminder that you are divine. You may not feel divine today. You may not like what you even see in the mirror. Your aches and pains might lead you to believe that you aren't divine, that you aren't love itself. But and your boss may remind you you are not divine. But I will say, try to remember and wake up to that fact, and your life will change. It's in you. It's in everybody. It's hard to find for some of us, but if you can find it, your life will change.
Mm. Well, thank you. It's so nice to meet you. I'm so glad.
It's very nice to meet you.
I'm glad you exist.
Thank you. I'm glad you exist too. Thank you.
And I wish you so much goodness. And I'll be linking your website in the video.
Okay.
Feel free to share it wherever you like.
Okay. I will.
And I hope that whoever is listening, that something is nourishing for you and supportive to you from our conversation.